So the question is, what is reality? It's a very interesting question. However, before I answer it, we must know which lens we are using. For example, the lens of spirituality may have a very different answer for what is reality or the nature of reality versus the lens of quantum physics versus the lens of biology. And I don't want you to see this as a dogmatic sermonist answer, but I want you to participate with me in this as an inquiry. When we see ourselves as distinct from the world, in that state of the world, whatever we experience through our sense doors is what we call reality. What we can touch, taste, smell, see, hear. All of these are cognitive lenses which are processed by our mind to see what seems real. However, this process is neither complete nor perfect. Many times, we see things that don't exist. It's called hallucination. But for the purpose of the person who's hallucinating, it's absolutely real. Meaning thereby, the chemical interpolation of micronutrients and neurotransmitters in our brain is the cognitive lens with which we see reality. So, both is possible. What we see may not exist. What may exist, we may not see. The famous example of the traditional Mexicans not seeing the Spaniards arriving in the boats because they didn't know what a boat was. So they couldn't see it. They did not have a mental archetype for a boat. So that's the cognitive lens of reality. The other lens of reality is what we see, definitive systems or causality-based reality, the lens of quantum physics, where we say all and everything exists as a quantum wave function of infinite number of possibilities till the moment it is observed. And in that moment, there is a process of decoherence and a material reality is born. At the subatomic level, it means an electron can exist anywhere in its electron field. Only when you observe it, you know where it is. Now, what does that mean? Every reality that you see, this couch itself, is more than 99.999 up to 6 sigma % empty space. And yet, we are seeing this as physical reality. So what happens in that moment when an observation takes place? There are two ways to think about it. One is the double slit experiment, traditional Copenhagen interpretation, that the wave function collapses and a material reality is born. Then the question is, what happens to the rest of the possibilities that existed? That question is answered by the many-world interpretation of Hugh Everett, where he says, this is where the timeline branches off, where all the possibilities that existed exist, but in a different universe, in a different timeline. So where does that leave us with reality? Is something really definitively real, that is unchangeable, finite, that everybody is experiencing as the same? No. Then let's apply another test of experiential reality. When you are sleeping, you really believe it's reality, what you are seeing. Till the moment, till you wake up. And then you suddenly see, that was sleep. So how are you so sure that right now, when you're listening to me, you're not sleeping, and this is not really real? It is a dream state that you are in, sushupti state, a dream state in which you are. So even the experiential test of reality does not exist. So when people ask me what is reality, my answer to the short answer to them is, I do not know. But let me give you a way to think about it. Imagine there is an infinite, boundless, formless, potential field of pure consciousness called the Brahman. All possibilities of being and not being exist. It's neither real, because no one's observing it. Is it unreal? Because it encompasses everything. When we experience a duality or separation from that Brahman, as an individualized consciousness of the Atman or the soul, we see that separation as the reality or the Maya or the illusionary world in which I am and the world is. I am distinct from that world. So to my mind, anything that we see, whether it's through any sense doors or any experience, is another form of Maya, of the illusionary, impermanent world that arises in a state of duality. That, I believe, is the reality we experience. Now, what lies beyond reality is suchness, is Satchitananda, that is pure state of being, abiding in the state of pure consciousness. That is the message of the Vedas. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. I am that, and that I am Tattvam Asi. Recognizing the true nature of being would perhaps be the only experience of reality, but the trick is there would be no you to experience that reality, because that would have already merged with that boundless pure consciousness. So I will sum up by saying, asking the question, what is reality, is a moot point. Whatever you can experience will never be real. I know that's not the answer you wanted, but unfortunately, that is the answer I have for you. Is this answer real? Well, I leave you to conclude.